Race 346, the under-21 Women's Coxed Fours final. Lane 3, Loretto Marriotteville. Lane 4, Furbank Grammar. Lane 5, Mercantile. Lane 6, Adelaide. And Lane 7, West Australian Rowing Club.
And they're underway in this event. There was a race for lanes earlier in the regatta. Obviously, Mercs and Furbank Grammar, the first two crews home in front of Adelaide and Loretto Marriotteville and Western Australian Rowing Club. But the races for lanes don't mean a great deal. Sometimes people use it as an opportunity just to actually practice their rowing, and they conserve energy if possible. So the race will unfold as it does. Just hearing a bit of breeze coming through the windows here. But it's far more pleasant today than yesterday. Don't forget, at 11 o'clock off the water, there is plenty to see and do this week at the 2017 Aon Sydney International Rowing Regatta. The Row Union marquee is back again and positioned right next to the grandstand. Go to Row Union to catch up with past rowing buddies and crews. Whether you don your club tie or blazer, the Row Union marquee is the place you'll want to be. The Row Union bar and tapas menu will be available from Thursday through until the last race on Sunday, the 2nd of April. So 11 o'clock, I believe it opens. So through 1,000 metres, it's the Mercantile crew, and the phone just rang from a Mercantile member wanting to know what was going on. 3 minutes 45.82. Western Australian Rowing Club in second place, just 2.32 back. Then follows Loretto, Marriotteville, Furbank Grammar and Adelaide. So this is the Under-21 Women's Coxed Four Championship of Australia. Not that much rowing done in Coxed Fours at this level these days. More coxless fours, but the event's still on the program, and it is the crew from Mercantile that leads. Annie Anazakis, Ellie Tomanovitz, Kirsty Green, Georgie Gleeson, Adelaide Chester, the coxswain, Bridget Carlisle, the coach of that crew. Western Australian Rowing Club in second place, Sienna Zaman, Georgia Patton, Gabby Morris, Kira Vermeesh, Andrew Lees, coxswain, and coaches Joe Tamigi and Chris Holliday. So Merck still leading, 541.17 over Western Australian Rowing Club. Furbank Grammar have improved there. Loretto, Marriotteville and Adelaide. But, the red and white of Mercantile out in the lead. The Western Australians are the crew that have got a bit of drive out on this side of the course. They've still got a bit of work to do, but I wouldn't discount the Western Australians coming home. Sienna Zaman, Georgia Patton, Gabby Morris, Kyra Vermeesh, Andrew Lee, as I said, coached by Joe Tamegi and Chris Holliday, but they've still got the best part of a length to make up on the leading crew from Mercantile Rowing Club. So the Mercantile crew hanging on to that lead. Plenty of interest in the bronze medal at the moment, with Furbank Grammar doing a great job there. Jasmine Tate, Thea Allen, Maddie Whitehead, Georgia Thompson, Lucy Burnell, the coxswain, the coaches Andrew Novak and Al Isherwood. They're coming home strongly and trying to peg back that silver medal. It's in the currently in the possession of Western Australian Rowing Club, but no doubt about our leaders and about to be gold medalists. The crew from Mercantile in Victoria, going to lead all the way in the under-21 women's Cox 4. Mercs with 2 strokes left, drives to the line. Mercantile first, Western Australian Rowing Club second, Furback Grammar third. Fourth then Loretto, Marriotteville, and fifth Adelaide.
And the unofficial results of race 346, under 21 women's Coxed 4. First, Mercantile. Second, West Australian Rowing Club. Third, Furbank. Fourth, Loretto, Marriotteville. Fifth, Adelaide. The presentation of the medals for the under-23 men's Coxless 4 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by David Hutton, Chief Executive Officer of Rowing South Australia. Third place and bronze medalists, Adelaide and Adelaide University, Sassy. Bow, Jack Deans. Kane Grant. Jack Corkers. And Tim Stanton. Coach Jason Lane. In second place, and our silver medalist, University of Queensland, Toowong, QAS. Bow, Elliot Apel. Nick Pettigrew. Adam Backer. Harley Moore. Coach Benjamin Southwell. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017. Sydney Mossman Mercantile Composite. N-Swiss VIS. Liam Donald. Robert Black. Thomas Barnes. And Charlie Patterson. Coaches Donovan Check and Simon Gadsden. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. Race 347, the under-21 men's Coxed 4. Lane 2, North Esk. Lane 3, Mercantile. Lane 4, Adelaide University. Lane 5, UTS. Lane 6, Sydney. Lane 7, Melbourne University. Lane 8, Toowong.
And the under-21 men's Cox 4, the current title holders, Sydney Rowing Club. We have, as Hannah said, North Esk, Mercs, Adelaide Uni, UTS, Sydney, Melbourne Uni and Toowong. And Sydney would be fancied once again. Jake Brighton, Clinton Boltman, William O'Connell, Max Brenner, Benedict Brenner, the coxswain, and the coach is Jason Baker. But it's the University of Technology Sydney that leads. That's Zach Whitehead, George Finlayson, Hugh Courts, Zach Von Appen, Tim Morrison, the coxswain, and the coaches Tim McLaren and John Smythe. Mercantile holding down second place. Lennart Schweishol, Joel Kane, Jack Robertson, Alexander Maycock, James Rook, the coxswain, and John Saunders, the coach. Then follows the Sydney crew that I read earlier. Adelaide Uni, Melbourne Uni, Toowong and North Esk. So a field of 7 in this under-21 men's Coxed 4. And the UTS crew led through 500 metres by the best part of a length over Mercantile as they head towards the halfway mark. And the peloton's getting bigger, much more conducive to riding your bicycle following a race than it was yesterday. Still UTS leads over Mercantile, just opened up the gap just a little more. Adelaide University have moved from 4th to 3rd. Sydney dropped back accordingly. Then back to Melbourne University, North Esk, and at the rear is the crew from Toowong. Certainly got the look back at them. The University of Technology Sydney crew, coached by Tim McLaren and John Smythe. So the Mercs crew holding down second place, but at the moment the UTS crew making a bold bid for victory. They just had a bit of a steering shift there. They just got a little sideways for a moment or so, but they've straightened that boat back up. And Mercs hanging on to second place. About 34 strokes to the minute for the lead crew, University of Technology Sydney. Beat up a bit higher in the Mercantile crew, about 35, 36 strokes to the minute in the Mercantile crew. The UTS just quite deliberate, a point or two lower than Mercantile and making good use of the lower rate, getting run out of their boat and has got the look back at the rest of the field. So a great race for third developing, but at the moment UTS are clear over Mercantile. Adelaide Uni under a bit of pressure from Sydney, so that's where the bronze medal lays at the moment. Adelaide University and Sydney. Then back to Melbourne University, North Esk and Toowong at the rear. Even with 275 metres to go, it's looking very much like an all-the-way win for University of Technology Sydney. And the black and white and teal colours there of UTS. over Mercantile in second place. That's the way it's been most of the way down the course. There's been very little change in the order for gold and silver. The interest now in the bronze medal between Adelaide University and Sydney. Adelaide University right up there and finishing strongly. UTS will win gold in Station 5. I think we can write that one down, Hannah. UTS will be first. Mercs will be second. Adelaide University coming home with a wet sail have grabbed the bronze medal position over Sydney Rowing Club. Then back to Melbourne Uni, North Esk and Toowong. As Mercs go across in the silver medal place. Third will be Adelaide University in Station 4. Fourth, Sydney Rowing Club. Fifth, then Melbourne University Boat Club. Sixth, North Esk, and seventh, Toowong.
So the unofficial results of race 347, the under-21 men's coxed 4. First, UTS. Second, Mercantile. Third, Adelaide University. Fourth, Sydney. Melbourne University. Fifth, North Esk. Sixth, Toowong. Seventh. A time of 6 minutes, 39.75. The presentation of the medals for the Under-21 Women's Coxed 4 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Josh O'Brien, Executive Officer, Rowing, ACT. In third place and bronze medalists, Furbank Grammar. Jasmine Tate. Thea Allen. Maddie Whitehead. And Georgia Thompson. Cox, Lucy Burnell. Coaches, Andrew Novak and Alistair Isherwood. In second place and the silver medalists from West Australian Rowing Club. Sienna Zaman. Georgia Patton. Gabby Morris. Kyra Vermeesh. Cox, Andrew Lee. Coaches, Joseph Tamigi and Chris Holliday. Our gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017 Mercantile Rowing Club. Annie Anazakis. Ellie Tomanovic. Christy Green. And Georgie Gleeson. Cox, Adelaide Chester. And coach Bridget Carlisle. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. We have the Open Women's Double Scull Race 348 final. Lane 2, Swan River. Lane 3, Sydney, New South Wales Institute of Sport, National Training Centre. Lane 4, Sydney University. Lane 5, Adelaide Composite, Commercial. Lane 6, Swan River. Lane 7, Essendon.
Thanks, Hannah. Yes, and one would think that Maddie Edmonds and Olympia Aldersey would be favoured for the event, but Jen Horton was very competitive with those two in the single scull. She's joined up here with Fiona Ewing, who's having a very good regatta, and then we've got the youngster Harriet Hudson with Leah Saunders. Swan River's Aileen Crowley and Adriana Maruli of a good established combination. Then on the extremities, Amanda Rukawi and Alexis Whelan of Swan River. And on this side of the course, Sarah Sekfi and Rachel Hatherley from Essendon Rowing Club. Go back a few years and Edmonds and Aldersey won a World Under-23 Championship together in the quad scull and did row the double scull together at the New South Wales Championship, I understand. After 500 metres, they were just narrowly in front of Ewing and Horton. Then the best part of 2/3 of a length back to Leah Saunders and Harriet Hudson. Then follows Crowley and Maruli, Rukawi and Whelan and Sekfi and Hatherley. So Edmonds and Aldersey, our leaders, albeit narrowly, named in the extended Australian women's sculling group to contest the World Cups in Poznan in Poland and Lucerne in Switzerland. And in the second 500, I'd say the rhythm has been found in that boat, and they're now 5 seconds clear. So it was 0 point something after 500 metres, and at 1,000 metres, it's now 5.16 the lead for Maddie Edmonds Commercial NTC and Olympia Aldersey Adelaide Rowing NTC over the Sydney University Composite crew in second place. That's Fiona Ewing and Jen Horton, coached by Alfie Young. Then follows the Leah Saunders, Harriet Hudson combination, coached by Lockie Carter and Donovan Check. The two Swan River crews are next and Essendon, but those three crews really racing down the course and a little outclassed, to be perfectly blunt. The leaders have got a massive lead through the third 500, and the other two crews doing a good job. And the Swan River crews, Aileen Crowley and Adriana Maruli, did a really good job yesterday afternoon in the club double scull. But this is Senior A, elite level we're at the moment, and it is Maddie Edmonds and Olympia Aldersey who've moved a fair bit of clear water between them and Fiona Ewing and Jen Horton and Leah Saunders and Harriet Hudson. Then follows Crowley and Maruli, Rukawi and Whelan and Sekfi and Hatherley of Essendon on this side of the course, back at the rear of the field. Harriet Hudson and Leah Saunders absolutely level pegging, if not in front of Fiona Ewing and Jen Horton. As we go through 1,500 metres, and I get a time there, and yes, I am correct. Saunders and Hudson have moved into second place. They're about 2 lengths behind Edmonds and Aldersey, and then a further length and a bit back to Ewing and Horton. Crowley and Maruli a further 13.9 seconds back. And another 8 seconds back to Rukawi and Whelan. And at the rear is the crew from Essendon, Sarah Sekfi and Rachel Hatherley. So not such a large peloton for this race. Maybe the coaches thought there was an air of inevitability about it. Maddie Edmonds sitting in the stroke seat and Olympia Aldersey in the bow seat of that boat. Moving nicely together. Aldersey stayed at home until the Christmas break, being coached by Jason Lane at Sassy, but has now joined the National Training Centre here in Penrith for women under the head coach John Keogh, along with Tom Westgarth and Ellen Randall. They're racing it all the way to the line. So Aldersey and Edmonds going to lead all the way, albeit narrowly in the early stages, but it is Maddie Edmonds and Olympia Aldersey in first place. Second will be Leah Saunders and Harriet Hudson. And then in third place will be Fiona Ewing and Jen Horton of Sydney University. Fourth will be Swan River. Fifth will be Swan River. And sixth will be Essendon.
And the unofficial results of race 348, the Open Women's Double Scull. First, Adelaide Commercial Composite. Second, Sydney N-Swiss NTC. Third, Sydney University NTC N-Swiss. Fourth, Swan River. Fifth, Swan River. Sixth, Essendon. The presentation of the medals for the Under-21 Men's Coxed 4 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Josh O'Brien, Executive Officer, Rowing ACT. Third place and our bronze medalists from Adelaide University. Jack Tomich. David Frigard. Matthew Nielsen. Nicholas Ems. And Bonnie White. Coach Brenton Tyrrell. Second place and our silver medalists, Mercantile Rowing Club. Lennart Schweissel. Joel Kane. Jack Robertson. Alexander Maycock. James Rook. Coach John Saunders. Our gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017 UTS Rowing Club. Zach Whitehead. George Finlayson. Hugh Courts. Zach Von Appen. Tim Morrison. Coaches Tim McLaren and John Smythe. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And we have a start in the Open Men's Double Scull, race 349. Lane 2, Melbourne University. Lane 3, Melbourne University Swan River. Lane 4, Huon, Sydney. Lane 5, UTS. Lane 6, Sydney University. Lane 7, Corio Bay. Lane 8, UTS.
And a couple of new combinations here. Chris Hayes and Jordan Smith, Melbourne Uni Waste, Swan River there. So Rick von Hooijdonk and Antonio Morigiovanni joining up there. Huon Composite, Chris Morgan, himself a medalist at the Olympic Games in the quad scull, won the B final in the double scull last year in Rio with Dave Watts. He's joined here with Wilson Muir of Huon. Peter Costa and Hamish Playfair. My co-commentator Owen Nix suggested to me that they may well be the crew to beat. Jack Hargraves is joined with Alex Purnell for Sydney University Boat Club. And I note with interest, Will and Tim Day are now members at Corio Bay. They were always members at Ngambie Rowing Club in the past. Melbourne University, Chris Hargraves and Isaac Smith. And at the rear is the UTS crew of Michael Keane and Connor Clark. At 1,000 metres, it was the UTS crew of Costa and Playfair. So the drum I got from Owen Nix seems to be pretty well informed. Huon Sydney in second place, 5.23 back. Then follows Sydney University in third place, the crew of Jack Hargraves and Alex Purnell. So Peter Costa and Hamish Playfair, coached by Tim McLaren and John Smythe, have moved out over the rest of the field. They got the look back and the umpire's boat in behind them. The Huon Sydney composite crew there, Wilson Muir of Huon TIS and Chris Morgan of Sydney Rowing Club. Donovan Check listed as the coach of that crew. And on this side, Jack Hargraves and Alex Purnell, Sydney Uni NTC, and Don McLaughlin is listed as the coach of that crew. Then back to Melbourne Uni Composite, Chris Hayes and Jordan Smith. And then follows Will and Tim Day, Michael Keane and Connor Clark, and Chris Hargraves and Isaac Smith. So rowing nicely here, Peter Costa and Hamish Playfair. They've got to look back at the rest of the field and they can see either side of them. Chris Morgan and Wilson Muir over on their stroke side, and on the bow side closest to the grandstand is Jack Hargraves and Alex Purnell. They're fighting out silver and bronze at the moment. On 38 strokes of the minute, the leading crew, Costa and Playfair. So they've got the beat right up there. Wilson Muir and Chris Morgan. Costa and Playfair are going to lead all the way in the champion men's open double scull for UTS NTC. Peter Costa and Hamish Playfair across the line first. Second, a good race, but it will be Hewan Sydney second, Sydney University third. Fourth then will be the Melbourne University Composite Crew in Station 3. Then UTS Keenan Clark will be next across the line. Then follows Christopher Hargraves and Isaac Smith from Melbourne Uni at the rear. Will and Tim Day of Corio Bay.
The unofficial results of race 349, the Open Men's Double Scull. First, UTS. Second, Huon Sydney. Third, Sydney University. Fourth, Melbourne University Swan River. Fifth, UTS. Sixth, Melbourne University. Seventh, Corio Bay. In a time of 6:31.87. The presentation of the medals for the Open Women's Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by John Boltby, Life Member, Rowing Australia. In third place, and our bronze medalists from Sydney University. Fiona Ewing. Genevieve Horton. Coach Alfie Young. Second place, and our silver medalists from Sydney Rowing Club. Leah Saunders. And Harriet Hudson. Coaches Lachlan Carter and Donovan Check. And our gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, Adelaide Commercial Composite. Maddie Edmonds. And Olympia Aldersey. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And we have a start in the Open Women's 4, race 350. Lane 2, Adelaide University. Lane 3, University of Queensland. Lane 4, Melbourne University. Lane 5, Mercantile. Lane 6, Buckingham Composite. Lane 7, Sydney Composite.
This race for the Herald and Weekly Times, the current holder, Melbourne University Composite VIS. Lane 2, Adelaide Comp, Alex Carter, Erica Webb, Phoebe Pado, Mika Webb. University of Queensland, NTC QAS, Lily Alton, Kate Rowan, Ellie Parker, Caitlin Cronin, Ned Drayden, the coach. Melbourne Uni, India Mackenzie, Alice Arch, Catherine Mitchellmore, Lucy Steffen. A couple of lightweights, a couple of heavyweights in that boat. Bert Koku, the coach. Mercantile VIS, Olivia Siblin, Madeline Thomas, Katrina Wary and Hannah Lewis. Simon Gadsden, Tim McLaren, David Geely, the coach. Buckingham Composite, Maddie Coonan of Toowong, Georgie Gotch of Sydney Uni, Sarah Hoare of Hewen and Megan Volker of Buckingham. And in lane 7, Sydney Composite Sassy, Emily Partridge of Sydney, Molly Goodman of Adelaide, Elizabeth Halsell, UTS, and Susanna Deere of Sydney. They're coached by Lockie Carter. Lucy Steffen doing a great job. A couple of lightweights up in the bow seats, but that crew leading by 2.66 seconds in the early stages. Over the University of Queensland, holding down third place. It's the Buckingham Composite crew in second place. That Buckingham Composite crew includes our pair champions, Megan Volker and Sarah Hoare, along with Georgie Gotch of Sydney Uni and Maddie Coonan of Toowong. I think Maddie may have finished fourth in the single scull final. Three quarters of a length clear the Melbourne University Boat Club crew. So India Mackenzie, the only athlete in this crew, is not a National Training Centre athlete. Alice Arch, Catherine Mitchellmore and Lucy Steffen, all National Training Centre athletes. And the two lightweights powering it along with the two heavyweights. And they've got the lead here over this composite Eastern Australia crew of two from Tassie, one from Sydney, one from Brisbane on this side of the course. So with Megan Volker and Sarah Hoare, who came from third to win the pair. So don't discount their ability to finish strongly. And looking out the window, it looks to me like they're gaining on the early leaders, the Melbourne University Boat Club crew. 2.39 was the margin, then back to Mercantile, University of Queensland in fourth, Sydney Composite and Adelaide Composite. This is getting very tight here. It'll be better when we get another side shot from our cameras. But Melbourne University have been the early leaders, but the composite Eastern Australian crew have just about hit the lead, and they go through that 1,500 metre point with their bow just in front now. So you've got Maddie Coonan of Toowong. You've got Georgie Gotch of Sydney Uni. Georgie rode the pair with Molly Goodman, who's in the crew further out on her bow side. And then you've got the pair champions, Sarah Hoare of Hewen, Megan Volker of Buckingham, the crew coached by Brett Crow and Neil Stump. Sarah Hoare, of course, has been named in the Australian Women's Four to contest World Cup regattas. And that early effort from Melbourne University starting to tell. They've been brave. They led for the first 1,400 metres of the race, but this long stroking Tasmanian, New South Wales, Queensland composite crew is finishing strongly. And The two Tasmanian girls, they're talented. They're rowing on the same side. They rowed the pair well, obviously one was on the different side to what she's rowing now, but Maddie Coonan in the bow seat, Sarah Hoare, Georgie Gotch, and Megan Volker will get up and win the Fours Championship of Australia. Second, Melbourne University Boat Club. Third then is Mercantile. Fourth will be the University of Queensland Boat Club. And then the South Australian Composite Crew in Station 2. And the Sydney Composite Crew in Station 7.
So the unofficial results of the Open Women's Coxless 4 final, race 350. First, with the win, Buckingham Composite. Second, Melbourne Uni. Third, Mercantile. Fourth, University of Queensland. And fifth, Adelaide. And sixth, Sydney Composite. The presentation of the medals for the Open Men's Double Scull Championships of Australia. The medals will be presented by John Boltby, Life Member, Rowing Australia. In third place, and the bronze medalists, Sydney University. Jack Hargraves. Alex Purnell. Coach Donald McLaughlin. In second place, and our silver medalists, composite of Huon and Sydney. Christopher Morgan. Wilson Muir. Coach Donovan Check. And the gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017 UTS Rowing Club. Peter Costa. Hamish Playfair. Coaches Tim McLaren and John Smythe. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And we have a start in the Open Men's 4, race 351. Lane 3, Buckingham Composite. Lane 4, Sydney. Lane 5, Mercantile, Melbourne University Composite. Lane 6, Adelaide Composite.
So the Open Men's Coxless 4 for the Bob Aitken Memorial Trophy. Of course, Bob Aitken, a great servant of rowing in Australia, in Victoria and Mercantile in particular, but for rowing Australia over many, many years as well. And this race named in Bob's honour. The Cruise Buckingham TIS, John McKenzie of Tamar, Drew Clements of Adelaide, Nathan Goldstone of UQBC, Big Sammy Volker in the stroke seat of Buckingham. Coaches Zolly Shepherd, Brett Crow and Ronnie Mobbs. Sydney NTC VIS, Gus Moore, Alex Lloyd, Spencer Turren, Josh Hicks, coached by Donovan Check. Merckx Composite, Tom Hunt of Merckx, Angus Whitcomb of Merckx, Josh Booth of Merckx, of Melbourne Uni, and Josh Dunkley Smith of Merckx. And the Adelaide Composite crew, Nathan Bowden of Sydney Rowing Club, James McRae, Murray Bridge, Bryn Coudray of Adelaide, and Alex Hill of Adelaide. So some quality athletes in this race. And I would suggest the crew in Station 3 are like the boy with the wheelbarrow. They've got the job in front of them to keep up with the crews in 4, 5 and 6. And it is the Adelaide Composite crew where the Sly money was going a couple of nights ago. Nathan Bowden, Jimmy McRae, Big Bryn Coudray and Alex Hill are our leaders. Just narrowly over the Mercantile Composite crew and the Sydney crew. Gus Moore and Josh Hicks have already won the pair at this regatta, and they're rowing with Alex Lloyd and Spencer Turren, who were in the final of the pair at the Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro last year. And in the middle, Josh Dunkley Smith and Josh Booth have won a silver medal at the Olympic Games in that boat, and they're rowing with Angus Whitcomb and Tom Hunt. So the boys from Adelaide making a bold bid for victory. Nathan Bowden, South Australian by birth, but rowing at Sydney Rowing Club these days. So he's the blue singlet in this boat, but the Murray Bridge, the proud Murray Bridge boy that Jimmy McRae is, and the two boys from Adelaide, Big Bryn Coudray and Alex Hill. They're doing a great job on this side of the course. The other two crews, a straight crew from Sydney, Gus Moore, Alex Lloyd, Spencer Turren and Josh Hicks. And the Victorian Composite crew, Tom Hunt, Gus Whitcomb, Josh Booth, Josh Dunkley Smith. At the moment, no match for the South Australian Composite crew on this side of the course. Then back in fourth place is the crew from Tamar, Adelaide, UQBC and Buckingham Rowing Club. There's also a sneaky tip around the bank that South Australia might be hard to beat in the King's Cup on Sunday. And here's half their crew going for home in the Open Men's Coxless 4 for the Bob Aitken Memorial Trophy. Alex Hill, I described him at Rio last year as being laconic, and I think I underestimated just how laconic he is. Big Bryn Coudray in the 3-seat, Jimmy McRae in 2, Bowden in bow as the Sydney boys lift. They're coming out after them. I think the lane's going to come up too close, though, the line, I mean. But the South Australians will hang on and win, even with a couple of strokes to go. Nathan Bowden across the line first. Fist pumps all round from the South Australians. Sydney second, the Composite Victorian crew third, and at the rear is the Buckingham Composite crew.
And the unofficial results of race 351, the Open Men's 4, in a time of 6 minutes and 8 seconds 56. First, the Adelaide Composite. Second, Sydney Rowing Club. Third, Mercantile, Melbourne University. And fourth, Buckingham Composite. the presentation of medals and the Herald and Weekly Times trophy for the Open Women's Coxless 4 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. John Boltby, Life Member of Rowing Australia. In third place, and our bronze medalists, Mercantile Rowing Club and VIS. Olivia Siblin. Madeline Thomas. Katrina Wary. And Hannah Lewis. Coach Simon Gadsden. In second place, and our silver medalists, Melbourne University NTC VIS. India Mackenzie. Alice Arch. Catherine Mitchellmore. And Lucy Stephan. Coach Bert Cuckoo. And our gold medalists and the Australian champions for 2017, the composite of Buckingham, Huon, Sydney University and Toowong. Madeline Coonan. Georgina Gotch. Sarah Hoare. And Megan Volker. Coaches Brett Crow and Neil Stump. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. Oh, and the presentation of the Herald and Weekly Times trophy presented by Mr. John Boltby. Please congratulate our champions and medalists.
And we're underway in the women's under-23 lightweight double scull. And in lane at number 1, Banks. In lane 2, Adelaide. University of Queensland are in lane number 3. Adelaide, Sydney University, Sassy Composite in lane number 4. University of Queensland, UTS, New South Wales Institute of Sport Composite in lane 5. Mercantile Cora are in lane 6. UTS Lower Clarence in 7. And the University of Western Australia Boat Club in lane number 8. I'll now pass you over to Yerrick Hazelgrove.
Thank you very much, Owen. And picking up this under-23 lightweight women's double scull as they approach the 500-metre mark. So getting them nice and early in the race. And a couple of familiar names in these combinations that we've seen over the finals racing today and yesterday. Obviously, the under-23 event, expecting to see some of the under-23 lighty singles. And gold medalist Wallace Russell from Sydney University Boat Club, formerly of University of Queensland up in Brisbane, racing out of lane 4. In a composite with the silver medalist in that event, Verena Zilm. So definitely be a crew to watch in the centre station there. And we've also got a couple of athletes in lane 5 from the University of Queensland and UTS, Georgina Masters with a 4th in the under-23 scull yesterday, and Maddie Williams picking up a gold in the under-21 lighty single and a bronze in the under-23. So backing up in the 2 events. So our 2 main interests there in the centre stations for this under-23 lighty women's double scull as they approach the 500-metre mark now. And the light breeze we can see on the surface of the course there, slightly deceptive. We're getting a bit of howling going around the commentary box up here. So the course obviously benefiting from the high shelter of all of these trees alongside the course. And 500-metre mark, it is the Adelaide and Sydney Uni composite crew, Wallace Russell and Verena Zilm, leading in a time of 1:47.88, with only a second behind that second favourite, the University of Queensland composite with the UTS, Georgina Masters and Maddie Williams sitting in second place. Behind them in third, it's Dane and Beasley from UTS Lower Clarence, Underwood and Hester, Mercantile and Corowa Rowing Club in 4th place, and then 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th was the University of Queensland, University of WA, Adelaide and Banks respectively. But pretty tidy pace set up by the race leaders here. Wallace Russell and Verena Zilm with about half a length's lead now over the crew from the University of Queensland. Masters and Williams, though, still very much in touch and no doubt putting pressure on that leading boat as they come towards the 1,000-metre mark. The rest of the field relatively evenly matched there. We haven't seen a margin really greater than about 1 second, to be honest, except for that final 3. So really our top 5 here, a very good race on as they approach the halfway mark, but we can see that leading boat working into what appears to be a slight crosshead breeze. Zilm and Russell trying to extend their lead out to clear water over Masters and Williams, who are still, I would say, annoyingly staying in touch for this leading boat as they come up to the 1,000-metre mark. And if anything, I'd say they've probably narrowed this margin now as they're having to work into this breeze. And that margin through the 1,000-metre mark, 1.67, so relatively unchanged. Still about half a length there between that leading boat of Russell and Zilm. Masters and Williams across in 1.67. And those two now, the battle up the front, starting to stretch them out from our current 3rd place holder, the UTS Lower Clarence combination of Dane and Beasley. And then again, stretching out a little bit further to 4th there. So our top 3 really, I guess, becoming fairly apparent here, with about 10 seconds between 1st and 4th. And Bennett and Dennis from the University of Queensland, Portia Bennett and Alex Dennis trying to chase their way up into 4th over Underwood and Hester from Mercantile and Corowa. Megan Hester, the reserve member of the under-21 Australian rowing team in 2015. And I found out last night a previous school member of Loretto Turak down in Melbourne. So Megan racing in lane 6 there with her crew member Amy Underwood from Corowa Rowing Club. And again, we're seeing some clear water start to move out between those 2 race leaders, the University of Queensland, Georgina Masters and Maddie Williams. Georgina Masters, sorry, from UTS. And Maddie racing against her previous training partner here, Wallace Russell, now from the Sydney University Boat Club in the lead, as they approach the 500 metres to go. And a nice little breeze probably down the centre of the course there, enough to take the edge off the top of this course. For those who have been here before, you obviously remember when this course is dead flat, it can tend to be quite slow racing conditions. So a little bit of breeze to take the edge off always makes a very big difference to times. And the previous medalists in this event, the 2016 champions, Melbourne University Boat Club, unfortunately not represented in this A final today. So we will have a new 2017 champion, and it is looking more and more like it's going to be at least one of two. We've still got Russell and Zilm in the lead, 5:38.31 through the 1,500 metre mark, and now about 1.8 seconds behind. It's Masters and Williams, so they've really only given about 0.2 of a second there in the third 500. So definitely a race to watch here as we come into the final 400 metres now. Dane and Beasley from UTS and Lower Clarence still holding third place, but now almost 8 seconds back. And they, I would say, are looking to consolidate that bronze medal position. 6 seconds ahead of Bennett and Dennis from the University of Queensland, who have moved up into fourth. Underwood and Hester from Mercantile and Coral are slipping back into fifth there. And then it's Barnett and Neri from Adelaide in sixth, and Ward and Cook from Banks Rowing Club in seventh place. So it must be University of WA there, just not coming up on our screens quite accurately there, but sitting about 3 seconds back then in eighth place as the race leaders now approach the final 200 metres to go. And Wallace Russell and Verena Zilm here now extending out to, I would say, bow ball to stern, if not a touch of clear water for this leading boat. Wallace Russell renowned for her fight in the dying stage of the race, as is Maddie Williams, and the two girls in the stroke seats of either boat now winding the rate as they come into the line. And it's really a race for bronze here, with the UTS Lower Clarence crew still sitting comfortably in that bronze medal position. But about 10 strokes to go, a couple of messy strokes there, but it's not going to hurt their chances. It will be Wallace Russell and Verena Zilm, gold and silver in the under-23 lighty single, and they're going to pick up a resounding win here in the under-23 lightweight women's double scull. The final margin is going to be about a length and a half. Maddie Williams then and Georgina Masters from UTS picking up the bronze medal as they cross the line. And then it's going to be Gemma Dane and Rosie Beasley picking up the bronze medal in the final podium position there in lane 7 for UTS Lower Clarence. In lane 3, it'll be Portia Bennett and Alex Dennis in 4th place. In lane 6, it'll be the Mercantile Coral Composite Underwood and Hester. Lane 2 then, it will be the Adelaide combination of Barnett and Neri in 6th position. 7th on the far side will be Banks, Ward and Cook, and 8th, Brown and Utley from the University of WA to round out our under-23 lightweight women's double scull for 2017.
So unofficial for the under-23 lightweight women's double scull. First, Adelaide City University. Second, University of Queensland UTS. Third, UTS Lower Clarence. The time 7 minutes 34.00, margins 3.75 by 10.29. Fourth, University of Queensland. Fifth, Mercantile Corowa. Sixth, Adelaide. Seventh, Banks. And eighth, University of Western Australia. The presentation of medals and the Bob Aitken Memorial Trophy for the Open Men's Coxless 4 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Andrew Gearan, Rowing Australia Life member. Third place and bronze medalist, Mercantile Melbourne University Boat Club, Tom Hunt. Angus Whitcomb. Josh Booth. Josh Dunkley-Smith. Second place and silver medalist, Sydney Rowing Club. Angus Moore. Spencer Turren. Alexander Lloyd. Josh Hicks. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, Adelaide, Murray Bridge, Sydney. Nathan Bowden. Bryn Coudray. James McRae. And Alex Hill. The Bob Aitken Memorial Trophy will now be presented by Andrew Gearan. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And the final of the under-23 lightweight men's double scull is on the course, race 353. Drummoyne are in lane number 1, Swan River West Australian Rowing Club in lane 2, Team Hong Kong in lane 3, Sydney University in lane 4, New Norfolk Buckingham in lane number 5, Mossman and the University of Queensland in lane number 6, the University of Western Australia in lane 7, and Sydney Rowing Club in lane 8.
Thank you, Owen. And picking up the under-23 lighting men's double scull as they've just passed through the 1,000-metre mark. The early race leaders coming through 500 metres to go. 500 metres into the race was the New Norfolk Buckingham combination of Patterson and Byrne in lane 5. Behind them was Sydney Uni with Swan River, WA composite of Dietner and Williamson in third place. And Team Hong Kong was sitting in fourth. And as we've just gone through the 1,000... largely unchanged, but Team Hong Kong now making their move in that second 500 metres and moving up into the number 3 spot. The time of the race leaders there, still New Norfolk and Buckingham, Patterson and Byrne in 3:18.6. And about 2 seconds behind them in second place, it was Sydney University, Chambers and Flanagan in lane 4. Leon Chambers and Jacob Flanagan there, coached by Dustin Butler and Don McLaughlin. And then in fourth position was the Mossman and University of Queensland combination of Blaine Heseltine and Sean Murphy. Swan River WA Rowing Club in 5th, University of WA in 6th, and then Drummoyne and Sydney bringing up the rear of the pack there in 7th and 8th. And now through the 1,500 metre mark, they come 5 minutes, 3.87 seconds the time, and it is still lane 5, New Norfolk and Buckingham, Alec Patterson and Matthew Byrne racing in the centre station there and leading the charge now about 1.5 seconds out over the number 2 spot from Sydney University, Leon Chambers and Jacob Flanagan. And then University of Queensland and the Mossman combo, Blaine Heseltine and Sean Murphy. Sean, a new member of the Senior A men's lightweight quad for 2017, racing with Uni of Queensland sculler Blaine Heseltine there, and they've made their move up now into the bronze medal position. But the margin back to Team Hong Kong, very fine indeed, 0.01 of a second. So Team Hong Kong still to be contended with as they come down towards the finish line here. Swan River WA Rowing Club in 5th place, University of WA Drummoyne and Sydney in 6th, 7th and 8th. So the minor placings remaining largely unchanged, but the crew from New Norfolk and Buckingham now extending their lead out with a touch of clear water, but the race here is going to be on for the minor medals. This top combo here looking like they've got the race fairly under control. They're in a good position, but the crew in lane 3 now, Yuk Man Chan and San Tung Lam from Team Hong Kong, starting to race for the line. They're winding their rate up through the roof, and I'd say they're almost up into the number 2 spot. But Murphy and Heseltine from University of Queensland now with something to say about it. And the crew in lane 4 from Sydney Uni also starting to wind, but I don't think they've got the legs for it. It's going to be Team Hong Kong or Sydney and Mossman, University of Queensland in the silver medal spot. I think it's going to be Murphy and Heseltine holding on for the silver. The crew from Norfolk and Buckingham picking up the gold medal. Bronze will go to Team Hong Kong. And fourth place, just missing out, it's the crew from Sydney University. Leon Chambers and Jacob Flanagan. Fifth in lane 2 was Swan River WA Composite, Deetner and Williamson. Sixth then in lane 7, the crew from University of WA. Drummoyne on the far side, Forks and Waldersea will finish up in 7th place, and it'll be Sydney Rowing Club, Bat and Miles to round out our final for the under-23 lightweight men's double scull.
Unofficially in first place, New Norfolk, Buckingham, Tasmanian Institute of Sport. Second place, Mossman, University of Queensland, New South Wales Institute of Sport. In third place, Team Hong Kong. The time 6 minutes 46.78 and the margins 1.37 by 0.75. That time's been revised to 6:46.75. Fourth, Sydney University Boat Club. Fifth, Swan River West Australian Rowing Club. Sixth, University of Western Australia. Seventh, Drummoyne, and eighth, Sydney Rowing Club. The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Women's Lightweight Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Andrew Gearin, life member of Rowing Australia. Third place and bronze medalists, UTS Lower Clarence. Gemma Dane from Lower Clarence. Rosie Beasley, UTS. They're coached by Dave Geely and Karen Saunders. Second place and silver medalist, University of Queensland, UTS, New South Wales Institute of Sport. Georgina Masters, UTS. Madeline Williams, University of Queensland Boat Club. And coached by Ned Drayden and Dave Geely. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017. Adelaide, Sydney University Boat Club, Sassy. Wallace Russell, Sydney University Boat Club. Verena Zilm, Adelaide. Coached by Alfie Young and Jason Lane. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And race 354, the under-23 lightweight men's Coxless 4 is underway. In lane 3, Toowong. In lane number 4, Swan River, Adelaide University, University of Western Australia. In lane 5, Mercantile Banks. And in lane 6, New Norfolk, Buckingham.
So race 354 now approaching the 500 metre mark, and certainly some clubs with some pedigree in this event and the lighting men's event in general coming down to the 500 metre. Toowong, the combination of Carter, Franey, Doring and Armitage in lane 3 from Toowong Rowing Club. Swan River composite with Adelaide Uni and the University of WA, Nick Ferguson, Jay Mummery, Lachlan Kirchner and Matt Stubberfield in lane 4. Merckx composite with Banks Rowing Club, Carl Tomchak, Edward Manton, William Legg and Jaden Gray. And the New Norfolk composite crew with Buckingham, Jock Muir, Nick Cash, Jared Weiss and Nat Graham in lane 6. And through the 500 metre mark, it is the Mercantile Banks combination there in lane 5. Tomchak, Manton, Legg and Gray, coached by David Colvin and Nicholas Mitchell leading the field. But the margins very much similar to a lot of lighty events you see. Very, very hard racing and very exciting racing to watch. The margins there, 0.36 of a second back to second place, which is the New Norfolk composite crew, and then Toowong sitting in third, only half a second behind them. 3 seconds back, the Swan River crew may be giving away a little bit too much for the early stage of this race. Certainly seeing the pace being set by these 3 leading boats. But David Colvin, the coach of the Mercantile composite crew there, the Olympic men's 8 coxswain in 1992. Lake Banyoles in Barcelona, and now passing on his expert knowledge to quite a few of the program there at Mercantile. I know he's looking after a lot of the women's program as well there, so picking up, no doubt, some of the excellent results the Mercantile's been seeing throughout this regatta. Toowong, of course, coached by Kieran Dwyer, Alex Field, and the QAS head coach there now, Ben Southwell. And Kiwi Dwyer obviously involved very heavily in Queensland's success in the Penrith Cup over the last 4 to 5 years. So some of those younger lighties now filling in these spots in the under-23 lighty 4. Now through the 1,000 metre mark, it's Tomchak, Manton, Legg and Gray still leading. The margin now out to about 3 seconds. So they made a bit of a move there in the second 500 metre. New Norfolk and Buckingham still struggling to hold off Toowong Rowing Club, only 0.3 of a second back. So still a very good race on for the silver and bronze there, with Mercantile now starting to consolidate their position in the lead. Swan River Composite now sitting about 6 seconds behind. So not looking like they'll feature in the last 500 metres as they come up here. The margin now for this crew from Mercantile and Banks, I'd say, out to clear water here as they start to consolidate that margin through the third 500. We'd be expecting any challenges to go out probably about this stage now, as the final 500 metres is going to be too late for the New Norfolk or Toowong crews to make much of a challenge for the gold medal. But as they come down to the 1,500 metre mark now, we can see clear water comfortably here, and that leading crew from Mercantile and Banks very much in control of this under-23 lighty men's coxless 4. Their time through the 1,500 metre mark, 4:54.04, and they've definitely lengthened that margin. It's New Norfolk Buckinghamshire 6 seconds back in second place now, but the margin with Toowong still 0.79, so they really haven't conceded more than about a third of a second there, that Toowong crew. And those young lighties no doubt being drilled very well by Kiwi Dwyer and Alex Field, just how hard they're going to have to race this final 500 metres. But Tomchak, Manton, Legg and Gray in a perfect position here to maintain control over the final 500 metres of this race. And it's now up to the crew of Muir, Cash, Weiss and Graham to do something about these Toowong contenders in lane 3. They'll be keeping a very close eye on them as they come down to the field. And I'd say neither lane they're getting really much of a benefit from the wind. There's a slight puff of breeze coming across at about 250 metres out. But it's going to start to settle down, and it's going to be basically whoever can grab it, I'd say, at about 250 metres to go and hold on to it for dear life. And it looks like both crews timing their runs now as they start to wind up coming into the finish line. But Merckx is going to pick up a very comfortable win here in the final of the under-23 lighty 4. Toowong, though, now trying to peg back that 0.6 of a second from New Norfolk and Buckingham New Norfolk and Buckingham looking across and responding in kind. It's going to come right down to the line between these two crews. Tuong, another cheeky look to the left to see what work they've got to do. And they're almost up level here now. New Norfolk and Buckingham, Tuong Boat Club, stroke by stroke as Mercantile and Banks will pick up the win with about 2.5 lengths to spare. But Tuong now up into the lead, and they're going to hold on. I would say the margin there less than Harper Canvas, but I think Tuong has got there in second place. New Norfolk and Buckingham just unfortunately conceding the silver medal spot by 0.8 of a second as they pick up now the bronze, and fourth place to conclude that final. The under-23 lighting men's 4, it will be Swan River, Adelaide Uni and the University of WA in fourth place.
Unofficial results for the under-23 men's lightweight coxless 4. First place, Mercantile Banks. Second, Tuong. Third, New Norfolk Buckingham. Fourth, Swan River Adelaide University, University of Western Australia. The time, 6 minutes 32.41 and margin 6.10 and 0.85. The presentation of medals for the under-23 lightweight men's double scull. Our presenter, Andrew Gearin, life member, Rowing Australia. Third place and bronze medalists, Team Hong Kong, Yuk Man Chan, San Tung Lam. In second place and silver medalists, Mossman, the University of Queensland and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. Blaine Heseltine, Sean Murphy, crew coached by Matthias Ungermack and Zoltan Shepherd. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, New Norfolk, Buckingham and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport. Alec Patterson, Buckingham. And Matthew Byrne, New Norfolk, the crew coached by Brett Crow. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. And we are underway in race 355, the Open Lightweight Women's Double Scull. In lane number 3, Sydney University, Huon and the National Training Centre. Lane number 4, Tuong, National Training Centre. Lane number 5, UTS Huon. And lane number 6, Team Hong Kong, West Australian Rowing Club.
So the open lightweight women's double scull on its way down to us now, approaching 500 metres in. We'll get some splits, but the crew to watch, I would be saying in this event, the gold and silver medalists in the open women's lighty single scull yesterday, and that is Georgia Nesbitt and Georgia Mansaro from Huon and Sydney University Boat Club, combined with the National Training Centre here in Penrith, coached by Paul Newbon and Alfie Young. And certainly a crew to watch as well, the crew in lane 4 from Toowong and the NTC, Shelley Clark and Amy James. And those two crews a little bit, actually not quite close here as they come through the 500 metre mark. As expected, Nesbitt and Mansaro, the leaders in 146.72, but right behind them in second place at the moment, it is the crew from UTS and Huon, Eve Muir and Sophie Gerapatridis in lane 5, and then in third place it's the Team Hong Kong and WA Rowing Club composite of Gravestock and Carman, and the Toowong NTC boat in fourth place with the margins there 0.78, 0.6 and 1.04 seconds, so really only about 4 seconds in total between these top 4 boats as they came through the 500 metre mark. Young Amy James in the Toowong boat there, a winner of both the under-23 lightweight and open weight sculling events at the 2015 Australian Championship Regatta, and the 2016 World Champion or World University Games Champion at the World Uni Games Regatta, and was also voted the 2016 Female Athlete of the Year for the World University Sport section. So she's racing down in lane 4 here, coached by Alex Field and Kiwi Dwyer. But definitely a good race on here between these top 4 in the open lightweight women's double scull. I'd be guessing that Sydney Uni and Huon composite combination of Nesbitt and Mansaro are probably going to extend out their lead a touch here. But there's certainly some tough little races here in the doubles. And I would say as we come towards the 1,000 metre mark, there's a certain amount of pressure being put on those race leaders by the crew from UTS and Huon Rowing Club. Eve Muir and Sophie Gerapatridis working very hard. The margin then back to third place, 0.88, and Toowong, Clark and James still sitting in fourth position now, almost 2 seconds back. And apologies there, a bit of a misinterpretation of the camera angle. It's actually, as we expected, that Sydney Unicom crew extending out their lead now by 5 seconds. That tight race there was second and third between Team Hong Kong and UTS. Team Hong Kong still only about 0.8 of a second behind in the bronze medal position now as they make their way into the third quarter of this race. And young Eve Muir from Huon Rowing Club here, down as being coached by her brother, Wilson Muir, who picked up a fourth in the single. Father, apologies, it was the father. And given false information there, but Eve Muir and Sophie Gerapatridis from UTS doing very well here to sit up in a comfortable second place. But the import from Team Hong Kong and the WA Rowing Club sculler of Susanna Gravestock sitting still in second place, but still in third place, I should say. But I'd be wagering as they come through the 1500, they may be trying to make a bit of a move on this UTS Huon crew. The Sydney Uni composite with Huon, Nesbitt and Mansaro now well and truly out in the lead. 5 seconds was the margin through the 1,000 metre mark, and they've gone through the 1500 in 5:31. And I'd say probably about 4 boat lengths there. But it's still the UTS combination of Muir and Gerapatridis now, and they've just edged forward about 0.1 of a second still on Team Hong Kong, but that crew not giving up the ghost just yet as they head into the final 500 metre mark, and the Toowong combination of Clark and James just conceding about another second and a half now, and probably leaving themselves with a little bit too much work to do as they approach the 250 metres to go. But Georgia Nesbitt and Georgia Mansaro featuring very heavily on the Australian Senior A and Under-23 scene over the last 3 to 4 years, and members of both national teams. And both athletes being recently named in the 2017 Senior A Australian rowing team to contest the 2 World Cups in the women's lighty quad and showing their form here as they come through. 250 metres to go, and they've extended their lead out to probably about 40 metres. And it's now a race between Team Hong Kong and WA Rowing Club and UTS Hewen Muir and Gerard Petritis still holding on very hard in lane 5. But Team Hong Kong now probably making a move slightly earlier as they wind the rate through the roof. A very comfortable win coming up here for the crew from Sydney Uni and Hewen. With about 80 metres left to go, and UTS now consolidating that silver medal. They've got themselves out now to about 2/3 of a length. And at this late stage of the race, that's probably going to be all they need to do. But Team Hong Kong now making a move and coming back. WA Rowing Club sculler Susanna Gravestock winding up the rate there in the bow seat, trying to peg back this silver medal at the last possible chance as Nesbitt and Mansaro pick up a gold medal in the the open lighty women's double scull. But it will be a UTS Muir and Gerard Petritis picking up the silver medal by about half a length. Carman and Gravestock will pick up the bronze medal from Team Hong Kong and WA Rowing Club, and it will be James and Clark finishing up in 4th place.
And unofficial results for the Open Lightweight Women's Double Scull Race 355. First place, Sydney University Huon National Training Centre. Second, UTS Huon. And third, Team Hong Kong West Australian Rowing Club. Fourth, Toowong National Training Centre. The unofficial time, 7 minutes 23.25 and margins 11.32 by 1.02. The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Lightweight Men's Coxless Ford Championship of Australia. Our presenter, Hannah Every Hall, Olympian, Director of Rowing Australia and Chair of the Rowing Australia Athletes Commission. Third place and bronze medalists, New Norfolk, Buckingham. Jock Muir. Nick Cash. Jared Weiss. Nat Graham. And the crew coached by Kelly Graham and Darren Purcell. Second place and silver medalist, Toowong Rowing Club. David Carter. Tom Franey. James Doring. Jack Armitage. Coached by Kieran Dwyer, Alex Field and Ben Southwell. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, Mercantile Banks, Carl Tomzak, Edward Manton, William Legg, Jaden Gray, coached by David Colvin and Nicholas Mitchell. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. Race 356, the open lightweight men's double scull final. In lane number 2, Swan River. Lane 3, Buckingham Tamar. Lane 4, Mercantile Corio Bay. Lane 5, Team Hong Kong. Lane 6, Team Hong Kong. Lane 7, Canberra and the Australian National University Boat Club. Lane 8, UTS and the New South Wales Institute of Sport.
And making the most of some of this great side-on vision here from the footage van driving down the northern side of the course, and much clearer resolution there. No doubt all the fans in the stands enjoying the coverage there as this open lighting men's double comes through the 1,000-metre mark now, and it's Curtin and Shooter from UTS and Swiss. Matthew Curtin and James Shooter leading the field here by about a length. In second place, 2.2 seconds behind, it's Team Hong Kong, Shek Lung and Yu Kenneth. And in third place was Mercantile, Corio Bay, Day and Matthews about 2 seconds back. Fourth, Clark and Perry, Canberra and the ANU, Boer and Fowler from Swan River in fifth. Team Hong Kong number 2 in sixth place, and Marsden and Crow in seventh. As this open lighting men's double moves through its third 500, but the crew from UTS looking fairly polished there. And not looking like they've got to do a great deal of work to hold out over Team Hong Kong in lane 6 there. Although from what we've seen of the Hong Kong scullers in the lighty events, they're certainly ones to watch in that last 250. They've got a reasonable sprint on them. And James Shooter in the bow seat. I think it was the stroke of the under-23 lighty quad last year. And Matthew Curtin winning the under-21 lightweight men's single this year, a member of the Australian under-21 Australian under-21 team in 2016 as one of the lightweight scullers. And they're moving out now with clear water as they approach 500 metres to go. Still Team Hong Kong sitting in second place, and Mercantile Corio Bay in third, with Clark and Perry from Canberra ANU trying to peg back that bronze medal position. Swan River, Team Hong Kong and Buckingham Tamar bringing up the rear of the field there. And the Mercantile Corio Bay composite crew with Red Matthews. Red Matthews, a fresh member of the Australian Senior A team this year, joining Sean Murphy from the under-23 lighty double earlier on in the lighty men's quad for 2017. And they are still sitting in third place. Apologies, I've hit a lane 9 there and given a strange split there for first. But Team Hong Kong now, by the looks of it, moving up into first position by these splits. But looking at the footage here, I'd say maybe a bit of an error at the 1,500 metre mark. Looking at UTS, they're certainly doing a good job, but it is the crew in lane 8 from UTS that's holding the lead here. A definite error at the 1,500 metre mark, and it's Team Hong Kong, Shek Lung and Kenneth Liu in lane 6, sitting in the number 2 spot. Canberra composite with ANU, Clark and Perry now trying to move up into the medals, and the crew of Matthews and Day from Mercantile Composite still putting the pressure on for a spot on the podium. On the far side, maybe Marsden and Crow, or apologies, no, sorry, Boer and Fowler from Swan River. Still in touch with those leading 4 boats, but it is the crew from UTS and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Matthew Curtin and James Shooter, with clear water and 100 metres left to run. And they're in the perfect position here to fend off any late challenges. But the race now on for these minor medals. It's the crew in lane 4 from Corio Bay and Mercantile, Matthews and Day now, putting Team Hong Kong and Canberra ANU under pressure. It's going to come right down to the line to see who's going to get the silver and bronze, but the gold all but sewn up with a resounding win in the open lighting men's double scull for Curtin and Shooter from UTS. Silver is going to be very close, but it's going to be the crew from Mercantile Corio Bay picking up the silverware there. The bronzeware, so to speak, going to Team Hong Kong, Shek Lung and Kenneth Liu. We've got a photo then for 4th and 5th with Team Hong Kong, Wong and Wong coming in 6th place, Swan River then in 7th. And the crew from Buckingham Tamar, Marsden and Crow in 8th position. So just waiting on those photo finishes, but we'll go to the unofficial results now.
Unofficial results for race 356, the Open Lightweight Men's Double Scull. First place, UTS, New South Wales Institute of Sport. Second, Mercantile Corio Bay. Third, Canberra, Australian National University Boat Club, ACTAS. The time 6 minutes 46.6 and margins 4.75, 0.16 and 0.10. Fourth, Team Hong Kong. Fifth, Team Hong Kong. Sixth, Swan River. Seventh, Buckingham Tamar. The presentation of medals for the Open Lightweight Women's Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals be presented by Hannah Every Hall, Olympian, Rowing Australia Director and Chair of the Rowing Australia Athletes Commission. Third place and bronze medalists, Team Hong Kong, West Australian Rowing Club. Susanna Gravestock of West Australian Rowing Club. And Carmen Lee, Team Hong Kong. Coached by Joe Tamigi. Silver medalists, UTS Hewen. Eve Muir, Hewen. Sophie Gerapatridis, UTS. Coached by Dave Geely and Wilson Muir. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, Sydney University Boat Club, Hewen National Training Centre. And we have Georgia Nesbitt of Hewen in the National Training Centre down there. Georgia Miansaro is currently being medically attended to. Paul Newbon and Alfie Young, the coaches. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. Race 357 is underway, the Open Lightweight Men's Coxless 4, and this is for the Lucerne Cup. In lane number 4, Adelaide University, Phoenix. Lane 5, University of Western Australia, Swan River, Fremantle. Lane 6, Toowong, UTS, Melbourne University Boat Club, Queensland Academy of Sport.
And they are racing in the last of our finals for a little while at least. The race for the Lucerne Cup, the Open Lightweight Men's Coxless 4, just now through the 500 metre mark, that race, and being led by the lane 5 combination, the all-West Australian composite crew, Mario Lepresti from the Fremantle Rowing Club, Timothy Whitcomb from the University of Western Australian Boat Club, Perry Ward from Swan River Rowing Club, and James Kerr from the University of Western Australia. That crew coached by Antonio Morigiovanni and Stefano Belosso. And the West Australians with a lead of just over a boat length. It would have been at the 500 metre mark, 2.74 seconds, in fact, over the Queensland composite combination. Well, not just Queensland, in fact, 3 states in that crew, Toowong, UTS and Melbourne University in the lane 6 crew. That's Jack Price of Toowong, Connor Grace from Melbourne Uni, James Waldersey, UTS, and Hamish Parry from Toowong. Coaches Kiwi Dwyer, Ben Southwell, and John Smythe. And those two remain our leading cruisers. They are now through the 1,000-metre mark of this race as well. The West Australian composite combination continues to lead 3:08.12 their time over the first half of the race. And a lead of almost 5.5 seconds to the Toowong composite crew in lane 6, Toowong, UTS and Melbourne University. And then the third crew is the Adelaide combination, the all South Australian combination, at least from Adelaide University Boat Club, and Phoenix, Dartignan Edwards from Phoenix, Patrick I from Adelaide University, along with Jack Tomic, and also Mitchell Reinhard from Adelaide University, coached by Darren Potts and Pierre Richards. So just the three crews in this race for the Open Lightweight Men's Coxless 4, racing for the Lucerne Cup. The West Australians, the defending champions in this race, at least in name. Not sure if it's exactly the same athletes, but it was the University of Western Australia composite crew that won this race a year ago. And once again, it is a University of Western Australia composite crew that leads the field through with 500 metres now to race in the final of the Open Lightweight Men's Coxless 4. Mario Lepresti, Timothy Whitcomb, Perry Ward and James Kerr in that crew, still clear by the best part of 5.5 seconds from the three-state composite combination on the grandstand side of the course. Jack Price of Toowong, Connor Grace from Melbourne Uni, James Waldersey of UTS and Hamish Parry from Toowong. And then the South Australian crew over in lane 4 in third place. Dartington Edwards, Patrick I, Jack Tomic, and Mitchell Reinhard in that Adelaide University and Phoenix composite crew. But it is certainly the West Australians continuing comfortably in front here. They won the race for lanes yesterday in this event. So they're seated to the centre of the three crews in this race. And they do look to have led virtually all the way down the course here, the University of Western Australia, Swan River and Fremantle Rowing Club composite crew. And they are winding up in the final strokes here just to make absolutely certain of their victory. Inside the final 100 metres now, University of Western Australia composite crew ahead of the Toowong composite crew in the grandstand lane. And it will be the West Australians in a few strokes' time, clear by a bit over 2 lengths as they approach the finish line now. And the Lucerne Cup for the Open Lightweight Men's Coxless 4 will go to the University of Western Australia, Swan River and Fremantle as they cross the line now. And then second place, lane 6, Toowong, UTS and Melbourne University. And then lane 4, the Adelaide University and Phoenix composite crew. So the unofficial results up there for race 357. First, the University of Western Australia composite crew. Second, Toowong composite. And third, Adelaide Uni composite crew. Winning time 6:20.66. Margins 5.95 and 22.45.
The presentation of medals for the Open Lightweight Men's Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Hannah Every Hall, Olympian, Director, Rowing Australia, and Chair of the Rowing Australia Athletes Commission. In third place and bronze medalists Canberra Rowing Club, and the Australian National University Boat Club, and the Australian Capital Territory Academy of Sport. Will Clark, ANU. Thomas Perry, Canberra. And the coaches René Domichens and Andrew Randell. Second place and silver medalists, Mercantile Corio Bay. Red Matthews, Mercantile. Tim Day, Corio Bay. Coached by David Colvin. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, UTS, New South Wales Institute of Sport, Matthew Curtin, James Shooter, coaches Tim McLaren and John Smythe. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists.
Here's another one that's going to be a real treat. Removed from the World Championship program, but open lightweight men's Cox Date. This racing for the Bucks Trophy, lightweight men's rowing is certainly alive and well here in Australia, and we have some amazing crews out there on the course. So in lane 2, we've got Toowong and Corio Bay Composite, Matthew Reddy, David Carter, Tom Franey, Jack Price, Jack Armitage, James Doring and Hamish Parry, all from Toowong, and Tim Day has jumped in there in the 3 seat. He's from Corio Bay. They're steered by Daniela Serra. I believe she was Cox of the under-23 Women's 8 for Australia last year. Excellent coaching team of Kieran Dwyer, Alex Field and Ben Southwell. We've got Swan River, University of Western Australia from Mantle and West Australia, and all the lightweights from WA jumping in an 8 together there in lane 3. We've got the lightweights from Mercantile, Banks and Melbourne University jumping in a crew there in lane 4. Carl Tomzak, who we saw, and with his colleague William Legg, who we saw win the open lightweight men's pair by about 30 seconds the other day. They're storming down in lane 4. A composite in the middle of the course, though, from UTS, Sydney University, Mossman, Canberra and the ANU. Leading, that's the crew of James Waldersea from UTS, Will Clark from ANU, Tom Perry from Canberra, Sean Murphy, the 20-year-old who's just been selected into the Senior A men's lightweight quad. He's from Mossman. Jack Hanley from Sydney Uni, Rod Chisholm, the Olympian from 2012 who rose for UTS, Matt Curtin, the 20-year-old for UTS, James Shooter, who stroked the under-23 men's quad last year, and their Cox, René Domichens, that coach who's won so many titles today. Adelaide University, University of WA, West Australian and Swan River are in lane 6, and the Tasmanians, here they come, they're in lane 7. That's from New Norfolk, Buckingham, Tamar and Huon. Jock Muir, Alec Patterson, Matt Byrne, Oliver Marsden, Jacob Crow, Jared Weiss, Nat Graham Cox by Eve Muir, the sculler. UDS charging across the line now. Challenge for the second position between the Toowong Composite in lane 2 and Swan River in lane 3. New Norfolk crossing the line in 4th position. A photo finish for 2nd and 3rd. Looks as though Toowong, Corio Bay have actually crossed in 2nd. Swan River, the WA Composite, crossing the line in 5th. And the crew from Adelaide in 6th. So what a fantastic race.
Indeed, it was another great demonstration of lightweight rowing, but the Bucks Trophy has been won by the UTS Composite crew on lane 5. UTS Composite in 1st place. Toowong, Corio Bay in lane 2 finished in 2nd. 3rd place was the Mercantile Banks Melbourne University combination. Then in fourth, the New Norfolk Buckingham Tamar Huon composite crew. Fifth place was Swan River University of Western Australia, Fremantle and the West Australian Rowing Club. And sixth place, Adelaide University, University of Western Australia, West Australian Rowing Club and Swan River on lane 6. Winning time there for UTS 5:50.16. And the margins 5.11 and 0.24. In third place and bronze medalists representing Mercantile, Banks and Melbourne University. Bow, Carl Tomchak. Connor Grace. From Melbourne University. Samuel Bongiorno from Banks. Edward Manton from Banks. Michael McNamara representing Mercantile. Red Matthews representing Mercantile. Jaden Gray representing Mercantile. William Legg representing Mercantile. Coxed by James Rook. Coaches David Colvin, Nicholas Mitchell and Richard Van Houdonk. In second place and silver medalists, a composite crew from Toowong and Corio Bay. Matthew Reedy of Toowong. David Carter of Toowong. Tim Day representing Corio Bay. Tom Franey representing Toowong. Jack Price representing Toowong. Jack Armitage representing Toowong. James Doring also representing Toowong. And stroke Hamish Parry also from Toowong. Coxed by Danielle Serra. Coached by Kieran Dwyer, Alex Field and Benjamin Southwell. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2017, a composite crew from the University of Technology Sydney, Sydney University Boat Club, Mossman, Canberra and the Australian National University. Crew is James Waldersee from UTS. William Clark from ANU. Thomas Perry of Canberra. Sean Murphy from Mossman. Jack Hanley, Sydney University. Roderick Chisholm, UTS. Matthew Curtin, UTS. James Shooter, UTS. Crew was coxed by Renee Domashens and coached by Tim McLaren and Renee Domashens. Please congratulate the 2017 Australian champions and medalists. Jim will now present the Bucks Centenary Trophy for the Open Lightweight Men's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia.